Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Damon Dame, and here we are this afternoon. We got some things to talk about, man. And let's get right into it. We've had our inaugural EBA draft where 12 teams were able to select players that they wanted to essentially build the foundation of their team around. Aside from that, they were able to then go into a 2-round ECBA, which is Elite College Basketball Association draft, where they were able to select from a roster of players that were essentially available to them, and they competed against each other in the college league known as ECBA. Here we are today, and what my job is for you today, or to provide for you today, is going to be breaking all that down, what that looks like in the grand scheme of things, my perspective and my opinion. If you don't like it, it is what it is. You can come on the podcast, you can debate with me, or you can sit there and text and, do what you do. So we'll move on with breaking down this upcoming season's inaugural draft. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had a phone call. So let's break this down a little bit, okay? So we had the EBA draft, and round one is really where you see teams select their superstar, so to speak. This is who each team felt was going to be the foundation or the vital piece to the team. And looking at this, you see guys like Tyson Blaze, he's drafted by the Rockets, Ronnie Uchia, Trey Hardaway, Dime Hardaway, Jackson Blaze, Drew Blaze, Bam and Gumbo, Apollo Blaze, Anthony Roman, Fabo Ramos, and Johnny Boss and Adrian Fletcher, all of in which people felt these players are going to be essentially that their main guy, their go-to. There's some names on here in which I don't believe are round one caliber players. I would say that an Adrian Fletcher is not a round one player. Not saying that he's not a good player or a great player. Not saying that he can't win basketball games. He can, but he's not your superstar, if that makes sense. We have a Johnny Boss who, coming into the league, as we got to see him in the first parts of his career, he came in and essentially went to a roster that won a championship. And he's been kind of very even keel in terms of what he can provide on the court. And I don't believe always that the ability to shoot the basketball is the only way in which a player can be dominant or be a superstar. And Anthony Roman was drafted in round one. That's another. I would even consider him to be more of a role player. He's like your C level player. He's your number 3 option guy. He provides, defensively as well as offensively, but that offensive presence on the court is not one of he's your main go-to option. You have guys such as Bam and Gumbo, who is known as a pass first point guard. While he's able to provide to you a spark, he's not that guy. He's not your superstar on a roster. I can get behind the Blaze options. I can get behind the 2 Hardaways taken by picks number 3 and 4. Even the Uchia pick, where he was taken at number 2 and taken early on in this draft, above a lot of vets. Honestly, Uchia is a player who, just last season he was a rookie, and he was able to show his dominance on the court. There were some games in which it didn't look like that he was quite ready for the league and for whatever the league was able to beat him. I mean, he still has some growing to do, some growing pains to go through. And that's what we got to see last season. His team did not make the playoffs. So from that standpoint, I don't know why you draft him number 2. So we're going to move on to round 2. The next couple of picks are taken. There's Xavier Thomas, Bright McNair, Karan Baycoat, World Beat Free, Live for World Peace, Queen Hardaway, Pal Jimenez, JB Pekovic, Kenny Castle, AJ Thomas, Muhammad Hashim, and Full-Time Dunker. This is where you get to see really your second option, to some teams' mindset and strategy. How this is going to play out is this is going to be our second go-to option on our team. And Xavier Thomas, I would say, is a pretty good pick right there at that round 2 spot. A very nice spark of offense, a lot of off the bench production. And so it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic and how that's going to play out in terms of how he performs on the court, what he's able to provide from quarters number 1 all the way through to quarter number 4. You're not coming off the bench to be that 6th man anymore. You're in that starting lineup. You're in that role. We're going to move forward. You got Bright McNair, another rookie point guard last season, where he was kind of a teeter is a good word for me to say and to use with when I'm speaking about him. Um, he really he showed us glimpses of what he's capable of, um, but nothing really stood out. If that makes sense to you, nothing stood out to me. Honestly, I would say yeah, he's worthy. We have another pick, Karan Batecode. He's taken number 3 in round 2. Another player where we've seen him take his team to the championship. He's been pretty much almost irrelevant or non-existent or on a bench role or playing fourth fiddle on a lot of teams' rosters. That is a guy where he is exploited constantly on the defensive end. Again, he can provide you that spark off the bench. He can be there. But I'm not keeping him in the game from quarters number 1 through 4 for any reason. He's just too much of a defensive liability. The guards in this league are much bigger. Not saying that they're more athletic. There's definitely a size advantage there that needs to be spoken about and addressed by this roster. We're going to move on. We have Roby Free, great pick. I would probably have preferred him to be picked up in the round 1 of this draft, but he was a great option for that team where they got him at the Sacramento Gladiators. Moving on, Live for World Peace. Not sure what this team was thinking when they picked this guy. I don't think he averaged 10 points a game last season. I don't know, if we're sitting here and we're dialing up and writing things down in our notes, what it is that we're thinking in our minds. But obviously we're not thinking with a clear conscience. We're probably off of the Henny or something of that sort. We're going to have to go and move forward. Clean Hardaway, old-time vet, has been around the block, has been around the league, has known the ins and outs of what it takes to compete in this league. Not an elite performer or something that I would have taken in round 2. This would have been a round 3 or round 4 option for me personally if I was selecting for this team. Kyle Jimenez, another player which probably should have been drafted in round 1. One of the more dominant centers inside the league today. Great pick from that team, the Baltimore Bandits. JB Pekovic, he was drafted by this team and then traded, disrespected, and it is what it is. I guess some teams prioritize defense over others, but hey, it is what it is. I think every team has their own strategy and has their own plan, and if he doesn't fit that bill, hopefully wherever he goes or the team that he went to, he does fit that bill for them. I can see where that option would have been, hey, let's draft him round 2 and try to use him for trade bait, where I could see that coming from, although he did just win this past season's championship with the team that he was on. So there's a little bit of kind of confusion there, but we'll continue. Ken Castle, great pick. AJ Thomas, this is another old head. He's been around the block. He's been in the league. He is only here for 1 season. I don't know why you pick him round 2. We'll continue. Muhammad Hashim, another player. He's not round 2 material. When we're looking at how these rosters are shaping up, and I'm stopping the going through the players. I'm going to really hit the rosters here in just a second because we're not going to go through all 7 rounds of this. But when you start looking at the players that are selected and the players that you said, hey, this is who we're going to build our team around, you have to sit down and really ask yourself, does it make sense? Because if it doesn't make sense to me, I don't know how you're able to make it make sense to yourself. This is no disrespect to anybody, but these teams have to really sit down and think when you're selecting players, when you're making trades, when you're trying to sign players, really, what is it that you're trying to do? What are you trying to establish? What is your goal for the season? I think a lot of teams need to sit down and ask themselves or sit down with their front office and ask their team, what is the goal for this season? Because if the goal is not to win a championship, then you need to let your team know that right away. Because the way that some of these teams are built, and I'm going to go through this roster here in just a second, it doesn't make any sense to me. So let's. And I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to see it, really all play out. DJ Love is in the building. And Thomas, Abel, Angelo, Sarah. Shout out to you guys for joining in. We have the Honolulu Tropics. Let's kind of break down their roster. They have point guard, Lifford Peace, PJ Haight, Raekwon Campbell, Ralph Lumley, Cornell Fresh, Small Pickings, AC Rosario, Michaela Drama, Eden Letterman. And this roster, I can see right now, it's going to probably be one of the highest scoring teams inside the league this upcoming season. That's just me being transparent. Depending on how Avio is able to construct this roster and get them to perform on the court, they have the opportunity and the ability. I can see and have seen these players perform on different rosters and different strategies and different game plans. I've seen them. I've seen these guys play. I like what I see. If I'm picking World Peace round 2 and I built this around him, this makes a little bit more sense into why we picked him in round 2. Okay. We'll allow him to facilitate the game. There's not much that he needs to do on the offensive end. I'm definitely honing in on his defensive skills, and we're going to definitely need to make sure that we work on that before the season starts. And as we get through the season, there's going to be games in which, teams, as you all know, they're going to shoot a lot of threes. It's inevitable, regardless of where you're going to play basketball, who you play for, whatever the case may be. Teams are going to shoot the basketball. But this team in particular, they have the opportunity to really figure out what it is that they want to be. And I think that they've already established that with how they constructed this roster. And this team is definitely going to be an elite team from outside the arc. So if I'm game planning against them, I'm going to make sure that we have the guys and the right personnel to not only guard their shooters and make sure that we're not leaving any open spaces or open players, but also we're in those passing lanes. We're also making sure that we're boxing out, because if I'm looking at a potential starting lineup, it's going to be World Peace, Lumley, Triple, Fresh, and Pickings. You can probably even alternate Pickings and Odrama how you like, but we're definitely going to make sure that we get Pickings and Odrama away from the paint, or as much of away from the paint as possible before we start addressing their shooters. Moving on, we have the Pittsburgh Ironmen. They have here Kobe Carter, Adriel Norville, Ethan Letterman Jr., Xavier Thomas, Rico De La Rosa, Denzel Thomas, Deontay Triller, and rookie Travis Hardaway. This is kind of an up in the air, kind of a toss-up team, one of those teams that I look at and I say, well, what exactly are we doing here? This is a question mark team. It could be a dark horse team. Adriel Norville, when he was drafted round 1 seasons ago, he was selected as a shooting guard. He has then found himself, when he was playing in his rookie season, he was by far one of the best rookies to step foot on the court. If you look at where his trajectory of his career has gone since, he's been more so of a second fiddle type of player. He's been in a more of a backup role, especially in this past championship run that he made with the team that he was on. He was the backup, essentially, off the bench. And if I'm looking at this roster as it's constructed today, Jacoby Carter is not a point guard. I don't care if the secondary is a point guard or not. That's not a point guard. Adriel Norville is not a point guard. Who's passing the ball? Xavier Thomas? No. Ethan Letterman Jr.? No. Deontay Triller? No. Travis Hardaway? No. So because of all of this, I mean, we know how these variables can play. You have players on your roster. What can we do to help make these players perform to the best of their ability? Why not surround them with a player that is able to facilitate the ball and get them in their open spots? Or if we're not going to go and get a guy like that, we're going to at least make sure that we develop a player on our roster that way. I would say I would even go as far as taking a Denzel Thomas and putting him in more of a facilitating type of role, where his size is going to play a factor, his speed is going to play a factor. He's going to be bringing the ball up for us because we don't have a true point guard. I can have Norville or Letterman Jr. or Jacoby Carter guard the 1 and 2 spot and alternate them simultaneously. But we need somebody to bring the ball up the court. We need somebody to create mismatches and to create distractions on the court, so that way we can get our guys open. And I feel that if they can do that, then they have a great opportunity here in order to make something happen special with this roster. But until they do that, this team, I feel, is going to struggle early on in the season, and even in the middle of the season is where you kind of get that meat and potatoes of the roster, and of those games where the games start to become more challenging. Teams are starting to upgrade more. They're starting to adapt more to what it is that the league is providing. Even the rookies start to become better as well. Shout out to Enrique, he's in the building. Dom Hardaway, what's going on, man? Eden Letterman, shout out to you as well. Let's move forward. We have the Orlando Inferno. This roster here reminds me of what Ant Thomas, the investors, already put together. Now, I know that we have this saying that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's broke. And it's been broke for the past 2 seasons. He's been swept twice. Has 2 championships. Players that play for this roster right here, right now. It's one thing to win regular season games. It's another thing to put it all together and win games when it matters. Because as you all know, I say the same thing and I say it every single season. You can be a great regular season team, but all the regular season, all you have to do, all of your goal has to be is to make it to the postseason. And once that is established, you then have to take yourself and realize and understand that, hey, 0 and 0, just like everybody else around here. We have 4 games to win out of a 7-game series. 4. And that is it. We have 4 games to win out of a 7-game series, and we have to put it together, and we have to just come together to a common goal. Like I said earlier, if the goal is not a championship, you need to let your team know now, because this roster, while they may be able to perform during the regular season, this is a scary situation for this team going into a new season and a bunch of unknowns. Sure, we can use the coach as a scapegoat. Say, hey, that guy over there was making the game plan. He's not coaching anymore. Now what? It doesn't work this time. Now what? Now what? We're gonna move on. I genuinely like all. I like all the guys. I like Jackson Blaze. I like Apollo. I've been high on Deontay Witherspoon for quite some time, and guys just allowed him to just slip. Round after round, player after player was selected, and that's been a young kid who came into the league, and he's been performing. And he's going to continue to do just that. But this thing with this old point guard, Adrian Fletcher, he's not it. And I should know, I drafted him as a number 1 pick seasons ago. He's not that guy. He's not. Moving on. For the Charlotte Avengers, they selected Davos Ramos, Karan Bako, Aurelio Romano, Dex Matty, Cade Hannibal, Peanut Butter, Akeem Davis, and Elias Shadowheart. This team is going to be in last place this season. Unless you can prove me wrong, and I believe that I'm right, this team's going to be in last place. This team, there's so many different pieces here that I can just see just clashing. It's not going to work. Your center bringing the ball up. We've seen it work. He's dominant. But unless you can game plan and put something together to make this work, it's not. And we've already seen that just this past season. Moving on. We have the Baltimore Bandits. Drew Blaze, Caden Scott, Kanye Fresh, E-Rain, Russell Coit, Tevin Hardaway, Truth Be Told, Devontae Richardson, and Pau Jimenez. I like the nice balance of this team. I don't like this team's chances of winning a championship. I don't like this team's chances of having a deep playoff run. I think this is going to be a pretty stagnant roster. While they'll win some games in the regular season, they may be able to even put it together. This ain't a team that's going all the way. It's not. This team has some flaws, and the youth on this team raises a lot of question marks. And while youth is not a bad thing at all in any aspect, they're going to need some time to develop. They're not going to be here right away. So, we're going to move on. Syracuse Rockets. I'm so spiffy. JB Pekovic, full-time dunker. Angelo Roman, Wright McNair, Marcus Carter, Yadam Sugar, Michelle Odrama. All this team's missing is a coach. That is it. They can make it far. They can go places. But they need a coach. You give them a coach that knows the game, knows what they're doing, and you can entrust them to put it all together, you're set. This roster is pretty strong. I like their chances. I think they have a good combination of defense, shooting ability, the ability to move the ball around. They have athleticism. And this is a gritty type of roster. Kind of reminds me of a Memphis Grizzlies type style of roster. This team is really showing, just on paper right now, a lot of promise. They have a good influx of youth and veteranship in that roster. All they need is a coach. This team gets a coach. I have them for my pick to go to the finals. I do. Moving on. We have, who was this? The San Antonio Coyotes. Ronnie Uchia, TJ Love, KJ Doolittle, Deshaun Matthews, Enrique De Jesus, Pierre Sabal, Shine Poe, and Baku Succo. Succo. That's a wild name. This team's going to struggle. Their flaw is their front court. Their front court is going to struggle. From the small forward position all the way down to the center position, they're going to struggle. They don't have any dominating players. These guys may be able to get some rebounds for you. This roster is going to struggle early on. They're not going to be able to keep up with the scoring output of some of these other teams that they put together. I would like to see how they do throughout the season, but I think it's a slow-paced team. They're going to have to slow the game down. They cannot run up and down the court with the rest of these teams. They're going to have to really establish themselves as let's slow it down, take our time, allow the play to develop type of team. We move on. We have here the Vancouver Mountaineers. They've got Dime Hardaway, Deuce Uno, Kyrie Prince Jr., 30 Castillo, Carter Thomas, Ray Williams, Deontay Jones, Tim Castle, Andrew Romano. I like this team's chances of making the finals, or at least a deep playoff run. I really do. I believe that they're one coach away as well, along with the Rockets, from making the finals and making a championship run. If they can get the game plan set, this team's ability to be out the gates, it's like as soon as the season starts, this team's ability to win games will start immediately. Oh, yeah. Let's go to the next squad. Sacramento Gladiators. Jimi Hendrix, Tyler Jones, Jonathan Breeze, A. Jeezy, World Be Free, Jason Breeze Jr., Anthony Roman, Big Meech. This roster here, they're going, that's another teeter type of team. They're young, so they're going to run the floor. They're going to shoot the ball a lot, but they're going to struggle. Just by the looks of it, they're going to struggle defensively. You can plug and play a guy like Anthony Roman on your defensive scheme. He's going to need to get you at least 3 blocks a game, maybe 2.5 blocks a game to be effective, to the point where you're striking fear in the other team's scheme of things. Excuse me. Because if you're not able to do that, then you're going to really sit there and you're going to be really struggling. I'm interested to see how this team performs. I think they'll do okay. They'll probably be a middle of the pack roster for sure, with World Be Free on that squad, along with Tyler Jones. They have the ability to kind of ride that wave between those two guys. They're going to be explosive. They're going to try to attack the rim a lot. So if I'm the opposite team, I'm definitely making sure that my guys are not beat up and battered the night before, because they're definitely attacking the rim. And then after they've attacked the paint, you're going to have to see them outside at that 3-point line for sure. Why y'all just seeing message? Appreciate it, Sean Paul. Just said happy birthday to me. Thank you, sir. All right. We have 2 more rosters. 3, actually. I'm sorry. Don Hardaway's roster is with Las Vegas Roadrunners. They have, Tyson Blaze, Sean Powers, Johnny Boss, Luca Powell, Ace Ludovicio. If I'm saying that wrong, correct me, please. Calvin Hightower, Dolph Hustle. This roster they're going to be hard to beat. They might even go undefeated. They're going to possibly go undefeated. Deshaun Powers alone was the key piece in why the team that he was just on won the championship last season. He was the focal point of that team's roster. Tyson Blaze was the focal point of the championship in which his team won 3 seasons ago. Now you get them both on the same team. I don't understand how some of y'all do it. Some of y'all just give players away. And you let them get Johnny Boss. That team going to shoot lights out all night. All night. You got a 3-headed monster. 3. You got to pick one of them. Can't stop all of them. A lot of you don't have the defense to contain all 3 of them. Because you don't think that, hey, we need defense when we're playing basketball. For whatever reason, I don't know what is wrong with some of y'all. I think that some of y'all just sit there and say, you know what, I'm gonna go up into the draft. I'm gonna get this dude right here because I know he's gonna upgrade his player, man. Shut up. No, it's not about that anymore. You got to put a roster together. That's the reason why the draft was done the way that it was done. That's the reason why the rebrand is the way that it is. It's no longer we're doing things off of namesake. I mean, if you want to do things off of namesake, you can, but you're not going to win. The sooner that you realize that, the better. A lot of you sit here and y'all say, oh, well, we got this. I say that you're a liar. Prove me wrong. Somebody prove me wrong. Somebody tell me and prove me. I'm sorry, don't tell me. Somebody show me. Show me that the Las Vegas Roadrunners are not going to the finals. Show me they're not. Show me. I want somebody to prove Dame wrong so bad because of who y'all allow to put the pieces together and how the roster is constructed. See, what I didn't say that these players were selected rounds 1 and 2 for that team. That means that they made moves. This team was given some of this roster. And only blame yourselves when the outcome of this is you sitting at home and having to watch the finals and listen to me commentate. And as soon as the stream comes up and the intro goes off, you're going to hear from me say, I told you this on my birthday. You're going to hear me say, I told you so. Adriel says that's a good roster. It is. It is. They're not like us. Now we're gonna get to this team here, the Nashville Blues. This team has had more drama in the offseason than any other team. You've had more turmoil on this roster than any other team. You're really going through it. Before the season even starts, the general manager has been fired. He's also stepped down. I want to say that they have a new coach. Let me double check my sources. No, I don't believe that they do. Yeah, this team, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know the powers that be, why they decided. They said no, not the Blues. I appreciate it, Don. Thank you. I don't know why these two individuals decided that, hey, you know what? We're going to come together, and we're not only going to come together, but we're going to also come and unite, team up. We're going to put together the strongest roster possible, and we're going to go out there and we're going to win championships together. I'll be the first to say it. Jason Breeze has not won 10 games running a team or any front office position, and neither is Travis. You put this roster together thinking it's the one. It's the one right here. Here's the roster. Jimmy Neutron, Trey Hardaway, Braxton Roy, Alexander McQuinn, AJ Thomas, Paul Bunyan, Don Quixty Do Flamingo. I don't know how the hell you say his name. I'm going to butcher it until he corrects me. And Aurora Campbell. And take Melo. We've seen these guys. We've seen these players, such as Trey Hardaway, be a nice second option. Braxton Roy be a nice go-to option. Campbell be a nice third option. Jimmy Neutron be the only option. AJ Thomas, at one point in his career, the only option. I'm sorry, the number one option. Paul Bunyan, the third option. You have three. You have a bunch of too many. Gotta have the ball in my hands type of players on the roster to be effective. That's what we have. We have a combination of too many players that need the ball to perform. Not just with this team, but a couple of the other teams as well. They need to have the ball in their hand. They need to be able to create their own shot. And this is not a league into where you're really creating your own shot unless you just happen to be that guy. You have to pick your poison here. It's one or the other. Sean Paul was good, man. It's one or the other. It's not going to be both. So we have one more team. While I did not establish and put this team together, I am currently running this team. The Salt Lake Storm have Bam and Gumbo, I'm reading it right. 1 second. Make sure I'm reading these rates. Look, all I ever wanted was a gun and some butter for me and my gang of blood. We the closest thing to brothers. A product of the struggle, that real street shit. The whip got a permanent, no G-cent. Stars and bars burned in my skin, that's OG shit. Sauced up, stay with that game. Hey, look, I'ma get mine out the mud, babe, don't wait up for me. Okay, so they have Bam and Gumbo, Queen Hardaway, Jermichael Carter, Tariq Thompson, Rocco Drama, Enrique De Jesus, Kobe Freeman. This team sucks. I call it how it is. This roster is currently established. It's not one that's really competing with too many teams in the league and how they're currently constructed. Well, you'll get some scoring from Barak. he can't be the only option. This team, I believe they did get early McNair. So I don't. We just had a little glitch just now. I don't know. I think that we're gonna, come across and see what the team can do. And it's really gonna be interesting to see how things shake up.
When it comes to this ball play out here, I'm the grimiest ever. That's word to Conway. Fuck a plea cause I don't cop 'em. Any problems, come and see me in the bottom where they tore my hood down and labeled my shit a food desert. This that Southeast end, that bad news Virginia. A product of the struggle, that real street shit. The whip got a permanent OG scent. Stars and bars burned in my skin, that's OG shit. Sauced up, stay with that gas, bitch, it's a bing dip. Hey look, I'ma get mine out the mud, babe, don't wait up for me. Yeah, out here trapping like a savage, so don't wait up for me.
That's what the fuck gonna happen to anybody who disrespect this family, man. Me and you as family, I'm not gonna let that shit slide, B. If I hear something going on, I'ma handle it, B. Cause niggas not gonna disrespect me, my niggas feel the same way, B. And that's what's gonna fucking happen to anybody who disrespects you, B. I love you, B. Anything, B. Let me know, man.
All right, baby.
All right?
Word more. It seems like everybody real till things get real. Talkative ass nigga, quiet when that clip spill. Couple dirtbag types lurking by where your bitch live. You pillow talking, walk me to that bag, or your bitch will. She get spicy, I'ma take her teeth out her mouth.
Bitch, you tweaking, try speaking with this heat in your mouth.
Ain't no sense in calling Jesus when the heathens is out. If I'm masked up in your house, bitch, that mean it's a drought. Either that or you done pissed somebody off, and I'm the consequence. If that's the case, I'm calming with a dick and marijuana stick. The stick might pop. I might finesse you like Leon. Bohemian necktie type of fly shit we be on. Highly abstract, the farthest thing from the cookie cutter. The beautiful struggle, we the closest thing to the gutter. Look, all I ever wanted was a gun and some butter for me and my gang of blood. We the
Closest thing to brothers.
a product of the struggle, that real street shit. The whip got a permanent OG scent. Stars and bars burned in my skin, that's OG shit. Sauced up, stay with that gas, bitch, it's a bing dip. Hey look, I'ma get mine out the mud, babe, don't wait up for me. Yeah, out here trapping like a savage, so don't wait up for me. Reefer lit, stay on my shit, this that nostalgia. Memories of all my niggas resting in power over top of that Pyrex. Pistol whipping that powder, mail order.
2 bricks of gelato, 1 brick of sour.
With cowards, you can never walk in my Pumas, this shit's stressful. You ain't built, gotta keep a clip full, trying not to catch a vest full. 30 plus to turn them to a vegetable. Way too many of your minds done died on the medical. Hard to accept the fact I never see him again. Fuck it, I'm rolling like a stolen till I see him again. Boiling hot, I got that fever again. Talking to myself, dancing with that heater again. Spinning the block, styling on unstable creatures again.
Hot, cold, hell's hot.
It's that season
It's
again.
that season again.
I'm dressed for the weather, nigga. Whatever you wanna do is my fucking pleasure.
Nigga.
A product of the struggle, that real street shit. The whip got a permanent OG scent. Stars and bars burned in my skin, that's OG shit. Sauced up, stay with that gas, bitch, it's a bing dip. Hey look, I'ma get mine out the mud, babe, don't wait up for me. Yeah, out here trapping like a savage, so don't wait up for me. Back to the wall, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Smoking that strong, pushing that Scarface. Little baking soda with it, whipping the raw bass. Smokers walking around with that Bobby Brown jaw face. I don't fuck with the lames, fuck it, they all fake. They all want to be in a nigga place, but they all late. I was one of them niggas lurking in the hallway. Hungry enough to strong arm you with the ball face. I simmer down, be thankful I came a long way, but I'm old school, I still love teaching niggas the hard way. Shit, nigga. When it comes to this ball play out here, I'm the grimiest ever, that's word to Conway. Fuck a plea cause I don't cop 'em. Any problems, come and see me in the bottom where they tore my hood down and labeled my shit a food desert. This that Southeast end, that bad news Virginia. A product of the struggle, that real street shit. The whip got a permanent OG scent. Stars and bars burned in my skin, that's OG shit. Sauced up, stay with that gas.
Apologies, I think the Wi-Fi went down.
Hey look, I'ma get mine out the mud, babe, don't wait up for me. Yeah.
I appreciate it, Sean. You also had a question in regards to when is the sale dropping? You need to upgrade. We have put in plenty of bundles into the store. If you're interested, they're in there right now. And then we have our raffle for spinning the wheel today. That'll start here shortly after the podcast is done. I'm going to go ahead and release the details of how to enter the raffle for the packs and stuff that'll be given out. So, in the meantime, in between time, EBA, I do apologize for the technical delay or technical issues. But Dame is signing off. This was fun. I hope next time to have a guest on with me or two, even to just kind of chop it up with y'all. I don't want to hold you guys up too long. But make sure to like the stream, share the stream as well. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to me directly, or even somewhere in the Discord channel. And I do my best to make sure to get on.
Yeah, out here trapping like a savage, so don't wait up for me. Reefer lit, stay on my shit, this that nostalgia. Memories of all my niggas resting in power over top of that Pyrex.
We're going to proceed with the starting the season without those for right now. And the plan is to start the season this week. So the games will start being recorded as soon as we start getting game plans in. The investors will know who they play this first week. Those games will start to get recorded, streamed, and how. I don't know if I'm still having issues or not with the network issue right now, but try to bear with me. In terms of the streaming of the games, how this is going to go, they'll be pre-recorded and then they'll be posted as a live stream or a live premiere. So to you, it'll be a live stream. So still show up, still actively participate as if this is a live stream. Although it's not going to be live in terms of the game and the outcome. I would have already known what that is going to be and be able to still input the stats and things like that according to the website. Put that up once we get that start rolling again with Jalen and our stats keeper. Once we get those get everything going, everything should start flowing here before we start July. So I would want to say the schedule should be out today. The teams will know who they play, and then we'll go ahead and proceed from there. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out, and I'll do my best to make sure to get to all of them. It is my birthday, so just bear with me if I'm not answering right away. I might be out eating dinner or something. So, yeah. It's been real. I will see you all soon via the stream or the Discord channel. So, EBA, we are out. Game is signing off. Enjoy this.
I love you, be anything, be. Let me know, man. All right, baby. All right? Word more.
It seem like everybody real till things get real. Talkative ass nigga, quiet when that clip spill. Couple dirtbag types lurking by where your bitch live. You pillow talking, walk into that bag, or your bitch will. She gets spicy.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.